putting it in a rack. So physical cabling, etc., and what things look like. For us old guys, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But it's useful information anyway. Oops. So, okay. So again, we've talked about the part numbers already. Again, standard format, so you can quickly understand what systems were sold to the environment. So the first part is the platform model and for that node. The second part is the networking option. And then the third part is the number of nodes included in the system. Now, the physical components. Now, the C6000 series nodes ship with rack rails included. Now, out of the box, the rails can be installed with racks with square holes. The C4000 series blocks ship with rack rails included, and out of the box rails can be installed with racks with square holes, and there is an adapter included, and they must be installed for use with racks with round holes. Well, wonderful knows. The 2000 and 3000 units, the 2000 series ships with rack rails included, and then they support both square and round rack holes without the need for any adapters. The 3500 rails support square rack holes, and you need an adapter for use with round rack holes. And the adapter is not included with the system or sold by Cohesity, so you must obtain that from a third-party vendor. Now, for the network card examples, so here for the C4500, the 4600, and the C6000 series platforms, we have a 2-port 16 gig Fibre Channel adapter, which is supported. So that's the 16 gig Fibre Channel. Here we have the quad-port fiber card for the 4000, the 5000, 6000, and the CX8000 series. For all of this up-to-date information, you need to check the hardware universe, which I'll show you just in a second. Here we have for the CX8000 series platform. Here we're using the 4-port 10 gig Ethernet SFP Plus, the 2-port 10 gig SFP Plus, and the 2-port 40 gig OCP, and the 2-port 25 gig OCP. Now, here we have the virtual interface card. Now, the VIC has 2 ports that face externally that aren't seen by the operating system. The ports are used to connect to the upstream switches. No local switching is performed on the virtual interface card, so the packet must travel on the upstream switch for any switching decisions. The virtual interface card will always tag packets with the 802.1p header. And while the upstream switch port can be an access port, different switch platforms behave differently when the 8021p packet is received without a VLAN tag. Therefore, Cisco recommends that you have an upstream switch port configured as a trunk port. So there's just a note for that. The physical components for power cables and network cables and transceiver. So all the key systems will ship with the standard C13, C14 power cables included. Additional power cables can be ordered from Cohesity using the part number. While the key systems will ship with the network interface card included, the network cables are not included and must be ordered separately. Cohesity does offer Twinax, also known as DAC cables, LC to LC optical cables, and copper RJ45 cables. Additionally, any optical LC SFP plus modules can be ordered. However, we no longer offer any RJ45 SFPs. We do recommend using NICs with embedded RJ45 ports, however. So these are the modules for the optical SFP, LC to LC, RJ45, Twinax, and QSFP and SFP. Now, there is a Cisco KVM cable, which is used for the console connection with a special connector, and that's the part number you need to order for that, basically to allow you to use your mouse and screens, etc. For the SFP guidance and notes, now one of the questions often pertains to SFP modules. So can Cohesity SFP modules be used in a network switch? Well, while there is no reason these modules should not work, the best practice recommendation from the network industry is to use the switch manufacturer's SFPs. And Cohesity does support those recommendations. If a switch does not have problems with the SFP module, it generally presents those issues in ways that are difficult to troubleshoot. And really stick with the industry best practice on using the manufacturer's modules for their switches. Can a manufacturer's FFPs be used on the Cohesity node? Again, any industry-leading switch manufacturer's FFP modules should work properly in a Cohesity network interface card. Now, the NICs tend to be more forgiving of the SFP modules, and Cohesity qualifies specific SFP modules for use on the systems and recommends that the Cohesity SFP modules are used in Cohesity systems. Again, same with all the other manufacturers. Try and use those manufacturers' modules. Now, Cohesity does offer Twinax cables with 3 and 5 meters in length. If longer Twinax cables are needed, they must be active copper cables. And Cohesity doesn't offer any active Twinax cables. They must be sourced from a third party. And SFPs can support both single mode and multi-mode fiber and will auto-negotiate between the network speeds based on the switch port configuration. Now we're on to the actual diagrams. So cabling, where the disks are, etc. So here we have the front view of the C4000 series with the bezel removed. So here we're just looking at the different display assignments, and each display is statically aligned to a specific node. So here we have 3 disks are assigned to each node in the chassis, and blocks with fewer than 4 nodes will have empty trays installed in the ones that are assigned to an empty node, and the blocks that the empty trays should be left in place because it's to control airflow. So here we have the rear of the block. So here we have is locations of the different nodes. So node 1, node 2, 3, and 4, and then the power supply units sitting in the middle. Then we have the block node itself. So here the I/O expansion slot is listed here. So this is just the I/O expansion slot here. And that will be populated with the appropriate networking option that was ordered with the system itself. Now, each cluster setup guide will have a diagram which is similar to this. The diagram is extremely important because it indicates what ports on the servers should be plugged into the customer's network. While all ports are able to be used, only the ones indicated will be used by default. For systems that don't have a 1 gig RJ45 port, you'll need a USB to RJ45 Ethernet adapter so you can plug your laptop into a node in order to create the cluster. If you don't have the USB to RJ45 Ethernet adapter, you can create the cluster by plugging into the same layer 2 network that the cluster nodes are on. When you work with a new release of the data cloud, always review the cluster setup guide to make sure that the cabling instructions have not changed in the environment. So here we have the actual node information going out from the switches. So each node going out for failover. So one going to this switch, one going from this switch from each node. And then these are for the out-of-bound management, the IPMI connections. One comment on IPMI. Do you configure IPMI in your customer environments? And if so, do you leave them physically attached?
Yeah, always.
Always configure them and always leave them physically attached.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. I only...
We're talking iDRAC ILOs stuff as well.
ILO, stuff like that, yes.
Yeah, normally get configured, to be honest.
And leave them connected.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The reason I was asking is we learned of a, how do I say this politely? Yesterday in the US, Cohesity is talking to a customer in California, okay? And they are doing currently a proof of concept with Cohesity at this customer. I won't tell you the customer, I won't tell you the city, I'll just tell you it's California. And they use one of our competitors' products currently, okay? It wasn't the one that was mentioned that sort of has a cube or something like that. It wasn't that one, but it was one of the others that we have mentioned today, but nothing else. And bear in mind, this was a proof of concept from Cohesity. Now, what had happened to that customer is they literally had a ransomware attack yesterday. So Cohesity had backed up one of the core systems successfully, and then the ransomware attack happened. Now, nothing to do with Cohesity, et cetera, but the backup server that they were using, backup product, was totally destroyed. Everything encrypted on it. And it was happening while I was in a meeting yesterday. One of the guys came off the meeting to go to sort out that problem. Now, it was just interesting because part of the discussion was, well, they should have unplugged the ILO, iDRAC, IPMI thing, because apparently that's how they got into the system. Which was an interesting way. They got onto the backup server software by getting into the IPMI. So hence why I asked the question, just to see if anyone was doing it still. Okay, so here we have the C6000 series, front of the node. So the SSDs, the power button, and the USB port. Then we have the actual hard drive tray. So again, which drives are in which slots. Just bear that one in mind. And then the rear of the node for the power supply units, the VGA port, etc. And then we have the cabling for the 6000 series. So again, check the cabling diagram that you get with your Cohesity environment when you get it set up. And here's the ProLiant rear and the cabling of all the nodes.
One question when it comes to cabling. Is it advised or not advised to connect the hosts with the LACP? If you have two switches in MLAG, for example.
I don't know the answer to that one. I will just take a note of it. 1 second.
Also, Paul, these ports, it says the same VLAN. Is that implying an access mode or native VLAN on those ports? Because unless we can specify during the cluster setup that use X VLANs, I think.
Yes, you can in the cluster setup.
Right, okay. But then it does the discovery sort of the nodes, or
Okay, when you okay, that's not so much during the cluster setup. That's actually during the active. This is literally the customer network.
Yeah. So those ports are plugged in, and,
Yep.
and at what point does it sort of discover the nodes, and do we need to tell it that we're using VLAN 100 to do the discovery sort of thing, or is it relying on there being a native VLAN?
Okay, the cabling inside the chassis, etc. They're all linked together. They have their own network internally.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay, so here we're really talking about the external connections out to the customer network or out to IPMI, and again the laptop just for the initial setup.
Yeah. So if you had the equivalent of the 1U nodes with
Yep.
no internal networking, is that a completely different?
We'll come to that in a few slides, I think, if I go from memory correctly.
Yeah.
But basically we'll use some other ports, etc., to connect them together.
Right. Oh, okay.
Okay, so that question on the switches again. What was that question on the switches?
I asked about LACP, wasn't it? Which I guess you'd need to tell each node that there's an LACP trunk to get any kind of connectivity.
Okay, I just put a note for me to look up. I won't probably get to it during today's lessons, but I'll look for it.
Link aggregation, won't it, or something like that?
Yes. I need to double check on that one. I'm not a networking person, as you probably just realized. Okay, so here we have the UCS rear. So again, the dual port NICs, the USB ports, the 1 gig Ethernet ports, the COB port, the VJ port, the IPMI console port, and then the PSUs. And then we have the cabling for that. So going out to the external switch again.